probably really loud in here. I'm out in the Viper driving around. I wanted to give you a quick update. I haven't been able to post in a while because I've been traveling like crazy for work. So I just wanted to post an update video. So we'll start with, and again, I hope you can hear me because it's so loud in here, at least when you're driving around. I wanted to start with the WRX. So the Project WRX, unfortunately, I had to let it go. I'm gonna be moving pretty soon, switching to a new house, and because of the HOA, because of the space with the driveway itself and parking, it was gonna be really hard because the car normally sat out there. My other cars are in the garage, so that I couldn't keep it in the garage, and I know the HOA won't be happy about that. So unfortunately, it has to go. So that's the first update. So I sold it actually Sunday. We had somebody come in from up north who was rebuilding an STI itself, or himself, and he just needed the body panels, and it worked out really well for him. The engine was pretty good. I hate to see it go. I really had a lot of plans for it, and I hate that it had to go. So that's that. All right, so you saw the Subaru going away, and unfortunately we didn't get to do all the things we wanted to, but as I explained, I was moving. So that was update 1 on the WRX and what's going on. So now we're gonna update you on the Viper, and we've been having some funky things happen. One of them, I was being lazy and I took the car to a touchless automatic car wash. I've done that many times with my other cars, never had an issue. I mean, nothing is touching the car. It's literally just water spraying and rinsing off some of that dirt. Usually the car doesn't get that dirty, so the spray, that'll be enough to clean the car. And I'll just do the basic one so I don't get all the foam and all the other stuff. But anyways, when I drove over that, I think there's a underbody spray, and the underbody spray unfortunately shot up and something got wet. So something electronic got wet. I don't think it was the ECU. It could have been. The ECU is on the driver's side, the inner fender, and it's pretty exposed. I have read things in the past happening where people do have some issues with that. I don't think that was quite it, but it could have been. Whatever got wet caused the car to go completely crazy. So there was water somewhere that was causing a short, and all the check engine lights or the dummy lights came on. It would barely idle and run, so I decided to just, limp it home pretty easy. Well, it wasn't easy, just meaning easy on the throttle. And so barely made it home. It was really bad. It was just not idling well. It was barely running. So a few days went by. Unfortunately, I traveled quite a bit with work. I mean, it's a good and bad thing, but that didn't give me any chance to come home and take the car apart and work on it and see what was going on with the car. And so I think I was out of town for about 3 or 4 days, and that allowed some time to pass and allow that water that got in somewhere to dry out maybe. Car passing by, as always. Busy neighborhood. So I think I put I'm trying to remember if it was when I got back that I put the ECU reader so I could pull the codes. I'm having a mind blank here. But anyways, I pulled the code, and it was like P0128 or 129. I can't remember off the top of my head right now. I'll try to link it in the screen itself when I get a chance. And what it was the throttle position sensor was having high voltage. So I went to the auto parts store. I've looked up the parts before. You can cross-reference these with many cars, and especially within Dodge itself. The Jeeps and a few other ones use the very same TPS. I don't know the years, so I'm not going to quote what years works with what, but I've done that before because I replaced the OEM one once before. And so I put a new one on there, reset the ECU, unplugged the battery for 10-15 minutes, plugged it back in. The same code was still there, even though it had a brand new throttle position sensor. So I took my voltmeter and I actually measured the current in the old one. When you actually take a screwdriver and spin the little throttle position sensor, I'd show you one. I don't know if I've got one here. But anyways, you can see in the voltmeter itself, it'll move. The gauge will move because more volt is going when it's close. It reads 0.05 or something like that, or just under that, and then when you open it, it'll read higher voltage. So anyways, the one that I replaced actually was fine, so I put that one back on there instead of the one I had on there. Try to reset the code once again, it would not reset. And it was also throwing I think the O2 codes once again were going off, even though I have brand new O2 sensors in there. So I think this is all related. Whatever the short is, whatever's happening. If you guys remember on some of the older videos, I've already replaced these. Now, let me clarify further. I think I know that 2 of them I didn't replace because they were, what do you say? What I'm trying to say here. 2 of them I didn't replace. Sorry, I'm waiting for cars to pass by. It's super loud. I didn't replace the downstream ones. I replaced the upstream ones because the downstream ones had some sort of eliminator that was part of the tune that the car had. As you guys know, this does have the Paxton blower kit on there. So I left those little downstream O2 eliminators off because the tune actually had disabled the downstream one, so I didn't need them. I have read on the forums because those kits, they're no longer readily available. You know, those became, I think they banned them, and a lot of the vendors I used to make them, either because of legal issues or went out of business, whatever the case may be, they just don't sell them anymore, and they're pretty hard to find. Not for the Viper anyways, they may be available for other cars. I have read on the forums with people just plugging in the downstream ones in there and just zip tie them somewhere out of the way so they're not dangling down. I'm gonna try that with this. So I'm gonna remove those little O2 eliminators because I think they're old. I think they're causing other issues within the car for the check engine light to go off. So I want that gone. I'm gonna get rid of those, and I'm gonna try these out and see how that goes. So if that works, then we'll be able to run the code and we'll be able to see if, you know, that helps with the other 2 codes. As far as the throttle position sensor, it's actually been about 3 weeks, and I've been traveling quite a bit, so I haven't even driven the car that much, and I think that's allowed whatever water got in wherever to dry off. So that code is no longer there, which is great. We solved that out, or I sorted it out by itself. I reset the check engine light that was on there, and I drove it around for maybe an hour today, and the O2 codes came out again. So once again, I'm gonna replace those you know, cancel things, whatever they're called, they're eliminators of the downstream O2s. I'm gonna put these on there, even though according to the tuner those are disabled. I'm gonna restore the OEM tune back on there, just put everything back to stock. Put these O2s, there's no holes unfortunately in the exhaust. This has aftermarket exhaust, as you guys know, so I can't just put these back. Otherwise I would have done it from the beginning when I recorded that first video. So let's put these on there. I'm gonna go into the car. I've got it all jacked up already. Not sure if you guys can see it. And we'll see if maybe that fixes the problem. Maybe it'll, I know I can reset the ECU right now with the code reader, but the check engine light came back again. So, you know, let's hope that this fixes. So let's go under the car and swap those eliminators real quick and see if that fixes my problem. All right guys, I'm under the car, and this is what I was talking about. I don't know who made these, how old they are. What I do know is that they're supposed to act as if that O2, the downstream O2 is still connected, and these are pretty old. So I'm gonna unplug these, get rid of these, plug the actual O2s that I have, the real ones. Unfortunately, again, there's no holes in the exhaust. I've checked everywhere to plug these in so that I could, I'll double check to make sure, but I've looked everywhere. I could not find anywhere that these would go in. So let's take these out and see if this will make any difference. All right, you guys are gonna laugh, but there it is. I've seen a few guys do this and they claim it works, so I'm hoping it works for me too. And this is the old one. As you guys can see, that little, hopefully the camera will focus in here. There it is, you can see it. And that's the old little, this thing's pretty old. Some wires are cut and I'm not really sure how that's supposed to go. Couldn't find any info or brand or anything on these. It just says room on here, whatever that means. Anyways, I'm hoping that was part of the problem. Another thing I found is this thing had been having a little hard time starting. The starter cable, I guess when the builder put this back together, which I'm guessing is probably the root of a lot of my issues, the way this was put back together, is loose grounds and things like that. When they get wet or they shake, could be causing some issues. There's one here that just don't even know what this used to go to. but clearly it's probably a pretty important one, and they didn't put that back together. So hopefully little by little I'll find that I've been replacing a lot of the parts, and I'm hoping that we'll get to the bottom of all the issues. Car runs great, runs strong, but I'd like to get this bad boy running top notch the way that it came out of the factory. So anyways, I'm gonna put the other one. I did the first one here, the driver sign. It seems to be on there pretty good. I may throw a couple more zip ties on there. I know that's not the best, but there's really nowhere else to put this thing, so we'll put that there, see if it helps. Reset the ECU once again. Let me do the second one, and then we'll wrap up here. Alright guys, got the second one installed, so they're both good to go. I tightened up the starter motor here, and hopefully that solves that issue with the starter. And maybe that's where the starter sounding like it needs replacement, but I don't think it does. We'll see if that helps. And then what was I thinking of here? Yeah, hopefully with these two on here, that code will go away. Whatever keeps saying that the O2s are not ready, and that'll help, you know, help some of those issues that it has out. But we'll see. Anyways, wish me luck. Well, guys, I fast forwarded a little bit in this video because that didn't seem to have fixed the starter. So I think it's time to replace it. And since I'm under here already, I've got the jacks up. I think we're gonna go ahead and take care of it. I was curious about something. I haven't done a starter in a long time, and I told you guys I had been having a hard time starting, and this looks like the negative and the positive connected to the same place on the starter. I'll show you guys the starter in a second, but is that normal? Maybe you guys can answer, drop a comment in the video here. Let me know if this is right, because like I said, I haven't done a starter in ages, and I just don't remember that being the case. I remember having two connectors. Both of these were connected to the same place. Maybe that was the problem. Don't know. Anyways, drop a comment, let me know, and I'm gonna do some research as well. I've got the starter out already. I didn't get a chance to record me taking it out. It really wasn't that difficult. It's just two little bolts, one here, as you can see. There's not a lot of room to work with in here, but I used the one of these little things, I forgot, articulating extension. I'm not sure what they're called, but they move in many directions, as you can see, and that made it really easy for me to get it out of there. It wasn't super tight. Now, I think the starter was going bad, as I had mentioned earlier, but I don't know. And this bolt, I think it was shorting out. It was doing something because it had basically soldered itself. Let me see if I can focus here. It had soldered itself on here, and you can see there was definitely some funky stuff going on. If I twist this cable, this was pretty much soldered on here. I had to break it off, and with that, unfortunately, I had to break off the bolt itself. Luckily, we're getting a new starter, so it shouldn't be a problem. But again, I'm just I'm baffled that both the negative, yes, the battery's disconnected, don't worry, both the negative and the positive go on the same bank. Yeah, anyways, by the way, that's gonna be for the next video. I don't have enough time, and unfortunately I gotta go on a trip again. Tomorrow morning I'm going to Miami, so I'm not gonna get a chance to finish this up, unfortunately. But I'll post the first video at least, talking about the WRX, talking about the O2 sensors. Didn't even get a chance to try it out, unfortunately, because, well, this happened. So I saw the starter, it didn't look right, it didn't sound right. I've only put about 1,000 miles since I had the motor build, maybe 1,300 miles. So I don't have a ton of mileage under the car to know what, you know, but again, it never sounded right from the beginning. At first I thought it was a battery, that maybe it was just acting up. Alright guys, so as I said, I was under the car. You saw where I took off the starter. We'll continue this video later on. Car's been starting okay. You know, it sounded kind of like when a starter's going, but not quite slipping. Actually, what it felt like was a loose ground. And if I take you over here, it's a little dark here, so hopefully you guys can see. Let me see, that's the part number there if you guys want to see what it is. Let me see if I can focus on this. And that's the best I'm going to be able to do right there. Anyways, so This is where the wires, that's where that little bolt broke off, unfortunately. That's where the wires connect, and both of them were connected to the same post. I guess that's how it is. I'm gonna have to go look at the manual. Like I said, I haven't done one in a while.